Welcome back to part 3 of our deep dive into Australia's most underrated rock bands. Earlier episodes highlighted cult heroes, but this chapter goes further. One of the most mentioned bands in the comments appears here, together with 9 acts who shaped Aussie rock, yet never got the recognition in or outside Australia they deserve. Now, you guys mentioned this band so many times, there was no way I could skip them this time. Cold Chisel are one of those bands that show how powerful pub rock can be when it's grounded in real stories. What I find unique about them is the mix of aggression and emotional depth, which is something few Australian bands balanced. The band from Adelaide built their following the hard way, non-stop gigging pubs and audiences that demanded honesty over polish. Songs like Kai-San, Flame Trees, and Cheap Wine captured 1970s Australian life with grit and poetry. Jimmy Barnes's roar, Ian Moss's guitar work, and Don Walker's songwriting made a lineup that felt untouchable. Yet outside Australia, they never reached the international fame their catalog deserved. Ask fans at home, and they'll tell you Cold Chisel are more than a band. They are a cultural institution whose music still hits decades later. When I think about bands that captured a very specific moment in Australia's late 70s music scene, the Sports always come to mind. They had this sharp, nervy energy that felt different from the harder pub rock bands around them. What I really enjoy about the Sports is how they blended rock, new wave, and a bit of power pop charm without ever sounding forced. They formed in Melbourne in 1976 and quickly built a reputation for tight, clever songwriting and charismatic performances led by Stephen Cummings. Tracks like Who Listens to the Radio and Don't Throw Stones showed they could write hooks just as strong as anything coming out of the UK or the US at the time. And yet, outside Australia, they never got that breakthrough moment. Even at home, they're often overshadowed by louder or more iconic names from the era, but if you dig into their catalog today, you'll find a band that was far more sophisticated and inventive than they ever got credit for. Did you know that Models once had 2 bass players performing in the band at the same time? It's one of those quirks that perfectly sums up their experimental, slightly eccentric spirit. What I love about Models is how they constantly reinvented themselves, from angular art rock to polished pop rock, while still keeping a strange, creative core. Formed in Melbourne in 1978, they stood apart from the straightforward pub rock acts of the era by leaning into synths, offbeat rhythms, and a visually distinctive style that felt ahead of its time. Songs like I Hear Motion, Out of Mind, Out of Sight, and Barbados showed how effortlessly they could shift between edgy and accessible without losing their identity. Outside Australia, they never quite found the audience they deserved, but locally, they left a real mark on the alternative scene. What stands out to me about Divinyls is how instantly recognizable Chrissy Amphlett was. It was not just her voice, but her attitude, presence, and total commitment to every performance. She didn't just front a band. She owned the stage in a way very few singers ever have. Divinyls came out of Australia's early 80s new wave scene, but they were always edgier and more unpredictable than their peers. Songs like Boys in Town, Science Fiction, and later I Touch Myself showed a band that could swing from gritty rock to sleek pop without losing their bite. Amplett's schoolgirl uniform persona wasn't just shock value. It was part of a larger artistic statement about control, sexuality, and power, something that made the band stand out internationally. Yet, despite global hits, they're often remembered for just one song, which seriously undersells how diverse and adventurous their catalog really was. Revisit their early albums, and you'll hear a band far more fearless than people realize. Spy vs. Spy were a politically charged Australian rock band known for tackling social issues such as homelessness, racism, and urban struggle. Emerging from Sydney's surfer and inner-city scene in the early 1980s, they built their identity around sharp rhythms, punchy guitars, and lyrics that directly reflected the realities of working-class life. Their breakthrough came with albums like Harry's Reasons and A.O. Mod TV Verse, which produced radio staples including Don't Tear It Down. This was a song inspired by public housing battles in Sydney. The band maintained a consistent focus on social commentary, setting them apart from other acts in the pub rock landscape. While they developed a dedicated following in Australia and gained significant popularity in Brazil, they never reached the same level of international recognition in other markets. Their catalog remains notable for its clarity, urgency, and commitment to documenting real social conditions through rock music. Today, Spy vs. Spy are regarded as an important voice within Australia's 1980s rock scene. The next band I want to talk about is Hunters and Collectors. They were a group that became one of Australia's most distinctive voices in the 1980s rock landscape, known for their driving rhythms, atmospheric arrangements, and the unmistakable baritone of Mark Seymour. The band built a sound that blended rock, post-punk, and brass-driven power. Their early work was experimental and heavily influenced by European art rock, but by the mid-80s they shifted toward a more direct anthemic style. This transition produced some of their most enduring songs, including Throw Your Arms Around Me, Talking to a Stranger, and Holy Grail, the latter becoming a cultural staple in Australia. Hunters and Collectors earned a strong reputation as a live band, with performances that emphasized intensity and communal energy. Although they achieved significant success domestically, their international impact remained limited. Today, their catalog is recognized for its depth, ambition, and influence on later Australian alternative and rock acts. I think Icehouse stands out as one of Australia's most versatile and sonically polished rock acts, moving seamlessly between icy new wave textures and confident, stadium-ready rock. Originally gaining attention under the name Flowers, the band quickly evolved into a project centered around Iva Davies, whose songwriting and production defined their signature sound. Throughout the 1980s, Icehouse released a series of albums that delivered both commercial success and long-term cultural impact, with tracks such as Great Southern Land, Hey Little Girl, and Electric Blue becoming staples of Australian radio.
So why should I care?
Their music combined atmospheric synths, sharp guitar work, and strong melodic hooks, allowing them to appeal across multiple audiences, from rock fans to pop listeners. While they enjoyed notable international recognition, particularly in the United States, Icehouse are still often overlooked when discussions of influential 80s rock arise. Their catalog remains a significant contribution to Australia's music history, marked by consistency, craftsmanship, and a distinctive sound.
Hillary University these veins. I'm soaked in moon was not the same. Heroes explore to give us hope. River push back the envelope.
Have you ever followed a rock band that stayed anonymous for decades yet still built a cult following? TISM are one of Australia's most unconventional rock acts, known for their masks, pseudonyms, and satirical approach to music and culture. Their name, This Is Serious Mum, captures their mix of absurd humor and pointed commentary. In the 80s and 90s, they ignored industry expectations by refusing press photos and turning live shows into chaotic theatrical events rather than typical rock performances.
I drank the slug that once got drunk. I injected some of Hendrix junk. I booked the Chisel and his skin explained.
Musically, they blended alternative rock with electronic elements and lyrics that targeted politics, celebrity culture, and social issues. Albums like Great Truckin' Songs of the Renaissance and Machiavelli and the Four Seasons demonstrated their ability to combine humor with tight songwriting. Although they achieved chart success in Australia, their refusal to conform limited broader exposure. Over time, TISM developed a dedicated cult audience and influenced later Australian acts exploring satire and performance art. UMI became one of Australia's most influential alternative rock bands of the 1990s, recognized for their strong songwriting and consistent chart success. Led by Tim Rogers, the band released a string of critically acclaimed albums, including Sound as Ever in 1993, Hi-Fi Way in 1995, and Hourly Daily in 1996.
The August cold brings something bad in his sock drawer. There's too much.
Both Hi-Fi Way and Hourly Daily debuted at number 1 on the area charts, marking an important milestone for an Australian alternative rock act at the time. Their music drew on classic rock influences while contributing to the rise of Australia's indie and alternative scene. UMI were also known for their energetic live performances and extensive touring, which helped build a loyal national fan base. Although they never achieved broad international success, they remain highly regarded within Australia, with many later artists citing them as a formative influence. Their catalog continues to be recognized for its impact on 1990s Australian rock.
Still remember the smile you kept for me.
Okay, so we end this list with band who carried the torch for loud working-class Aussie rock into the 90s. The Screaming Jets were from Newcastle, and they burst onto the scene with a tough sound that owed as much to pub rock tradition as it did to contemporary hard rock. Their debut album, All for One, featuring Better, showed they could write big, anthemic songs without losing grit. What stands out for me is Dave Gleason's voice and attitude. He sings like a guy who has seen every corner of every bar in the country, and the band behind him is tight, punchy, and always locked in. They toured relentlessly, built a loyal fan base, and kept rocking long after trends shifted. Outside Australia, though, they rarely get mentioned, which is a shame for anyone who loves no-nonsense rock and roll. Put them on today, and they still sound like the perfect band for a Friday night when you just need loud guitars and a cold drink. Australia's rock story is so much bigger than the handful of names everyone knows. From glam troublemakers to pub rock road warriors and thoughtful storytellers, these 10 bands prove how deep the country's scene really runs. If you discovered a new favorite today, let me know in the comments. And tell me which underrated Australian band deserves a spot in Part 4.